Hey everybody, it's Alex, the founder and CEO at Motoroso, and we just got done installing the Fab 4's premium rear bumper on our brand new Ford Bronco, and we're going to be taking a close-up look at that as well as showing you a detailed how-to installation guide that should be helpful for installing this or any rear bumper on the new Bronco. Now, the Fab 4's front bumper that we did was the stubby front bumper with pre-runner bar, and we also put on the super winch. We made a separate video about that front bumper. We'll put a link to that right here as well as in the description of this video, but this rear bumper is the perfect match for that front bumper. We think it has very similar style and lines. It's also very narrow like the front bumper, giving you lots of clearance for serious off-road excursions. Now, as far as the actual features of this bumper, just like the front bumper, it's made out of 10 gauge steel, which is super tough, and then it's double powder coated black, so it's gonna stand up to the punishment out on the trail. It's a pretty simple, straightforward bumper that just has mounts for putting your parking sensors, and it has mounts for D-rings and putting your shackles in. In this case, we've used the Warn Epic shackles, which have an 18,000 pound capacity. We'll put links to those in the description as well. Now, we didn't opt for a bumper that has any sort of spots for mounting reverse LED lighting because we use the Baja Designs reverse light kit. We made a separate video about that too. Put a link to that right here. So this very straightforward, simple, but beautiful looking bumper, it comes in at a great price, and we'll put a link to that in the description as well as right here where you can go to Motoroso.com and shop for that. You can also reach us there on live chat or call us toll free at 833-MOTOROSO. Now we're gonna show you how to actually install this bumper. It's an extremely straightforward install. We got it done basically by myself, but it might be helpful if you have a separate set of hands to get everything done. Now, the toughest part of this entire install is actually transferring the parking sensors over into the new bumper. There is the necessity to actually epoxy the little sensor receivers, the little clips that hold the sensors in place, which we didn't love the idea of doing that. We only epoxied 2 of them in, and we got a little creative and went outside of the normal instructions from Fab 4 for the corner parking sensors, and we'll show you how we did all of that in the video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the install. All right, we're gonna start by removing the factory bumper, but we recommend removing the spare tire to give yourself a little extra headroom. Begin by removing the 2 19mm tow hook mounting bolts on each side, and then pull down on the tow hooks to release the plastic retaining clips. Remove the 2 13mm bumper mounting bolts on the inside of each corner of the rear bumper. Before removing the bumper, disconnect the wiring harness on each corner of the bumper by depressing the clip and pulling down. Then you can remove the bumper by lifting up and away, and it's pretty light, so it's a one-person job. If you have parking sensors and want to keep them, you'll need to transfer the sensors and wiring harness over to the Fab 4's bumper. Before removing the sensors, we recommend using a paint pen to mark the location of each sensor so you maintain the correct placement of the sensors on the new bumper. We marked the passenger side harness with a P, each sensor 1 through 4 from left to right, and the driver's side harness with a D. Using a flathead screwdriver, you can pop out the harness mounting clips all along the bumper and then cut the zip tie next to the license plate light. Next, carefully remove the sensors and the license plate light from their mounts by pushing apart the black clips and disconnect them from the wiring harness. Be very careful with these sensors, they are sensitive. With the sensors and light disconnected, you can remove the harness from the bumper. You may need to remove this panel by pulling out the 13mm bolts to completely remove the harness. Next, carefully remove the sensor housings by prying up on the white retaining clips on each of the corner sensors and depressing the plastic clips on the 2 center sensors. Also press in the clips on the license plate light and you're ready to prepare the Fab 4's bumper. Fab 4's instructions say to use epoxy to secure all the sensor housing mounts, but we wanted to use as little epoxy as possible. For the corner sensors, which are sensors 1 and 4, we found we could modify the clips in order for them to work as intended. To do this, you'll need to trim the nubs off the white housing and file out this clip opening portion on the black housing until the gap is large enough to accommodate the Fab 4's bumper much thicker steel. Once properly trimmed, these clips should be able to mount on the Fab 4's bumper with the sensors pointing upwards as shown here. If you mount them pointing down, your sensors will detect the ground and they'll go off all the time. In order to secure the 2 remaining sensor mounts, you will need to mix the supplied epoxy and carefully apply it to the outside of the middle 2 sensor mounts, as well as the license plate light. Now make sure not to get any epoxy inside the round opening of the sensors because they're a tight fit and you need those sensors to be able to press into the housings. You also use epoxy to secure your license plate light. Once you've applied the epoxy, you'll need to let it set, so give it about 30 minutes. With the housings installed, you can install your sensors, making sure to place them in the same locations relative to the factory bumper, numbered 1 through 4 from left to right. Next, reconnect your harness to each of the sensors and the license plate light, and you're ready to mount the bumper on the Bronco. To mount this Fab Force bumper, you're going to be using a combination of OEM hardware and the Fab Force supplied hardware. Prior to installing, we recommend applying Loctite to all the bolts. Line up the bumper and hang the bumper on one side using the supplied bolts, washers, and nuts from Fab Force. Then repeat on the other side. With both bolts loosely installed, then loosely install the 4 lower OEM bolts. Before tightening the hardware completely, align the bumper on the Bronco, and when you're happy with how it's sitting, go around and snug all the mounting hardware, then fully tighten all the mounting hardware. With the bumper installed, you can reconnect both sides of your wiring harness and tuck it up into the bumper out of the way. Use zip ties to secure the wiring harness on the underside. To mount your license plate, simply press in the supplied white mounting clips and then install your license plate. Now's a great time to install shackles if you have them. We're using the Warn Epic shackles, which will match our setup in the front and have an 18,000 pound capacity. Congrats, you finished installing your rear bumper. All right, we hope you found that video helpful for your install. If you'd like to buy this premium rear bumper from Fab Force, we'll put a link to that right here as well as in the description of the video. You can reach us on live chat at Motoroso.com or call us toll free at 833-MOTOROSO anytime to help out with your build. Now check out this video right over here where we cover the Fab Force stubby front bumper as well as the Super Winch, the Factor 55 rigging hardware, and the Baja Designs lighting. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, see all of our upcoming videos, and thanks for watching.